crafty friends, it's Jess from jesscrafts.com, and today I'm here with a card for Cat Scrappiness. I'm on the Cat Scrappiness design team and receive products in exchange for my design work. For today's card, I wanted to show off some of the new sprinkles and sequins that are available at Cat Scrappiness. And so I was inspired by the Magical Unicorns Sprinkles set. There are, I think, like 32 new sprinkles and sequins available at Cat Scrappiness. I'm going to use like 2 today, but I will have a haul video showing you a few more of them. They're going to be released on June 11th, Tuesday, June 11th, 2019. So they might not be in the shop just as you see this video. So to get started, I am taking some cardstock. This is 110 pound Michael's Recollection cardstock. And I am adding some distress ink to it. I know some people say that distress ink, this is distress oxide ink, blends better on like Bristol or others, and that may be true. I was going for a very simple blend today though, so I wasn't too worried about like having the ultimate ink blending here. So I'm just going to add some Wilted Violet to the center, some Picked Raspberry to the top, and Salty Ocean to the bottom. I'm just going to use the Tim Holtz round blender tools. I don't have any of the fancy brushes that are out there. There's like life-changing brushes and all kinds of brushes. I just kind of keep with the ones that I have because I want to spend my money on stamps and new designs and that kind of thing rather than like new tools that do the same thing or similar things to what I have. Anyway, one of the reasons I wanted to show the Distress Oxide inks today is because I do these beautiful blending techniques, but also Cat Scrappiness is having a sale on the refills. And so if you're someone who uses your Oxide inks a lot, you can pick up the refills and never have to worry about your ink pads drying up for 30% off today, which is a pretty good deal, or for the next couple of days. I think it's till like June 12th or something like that. So, you could pick up some new sequins and the Oxide refills as well. So for today's card, I am going to also be using the Avery Elle Be a Unicorn stamp set. So as I said, I was inspired by the Magical Unicorn Sequin Mix, and I thought, well, let me pull out a unicorn stamp set and, then use the colors from the sequin mix to inspire the Copic colors that I use, as well as the Distress Oxide colors that I use. My Copic colors are a little bit paler, more in line with what you see in the sequin mix, whereas the Distress Oxides were brighter. And I thought that was a good compromise because the brightness of the Distress Oxides really, I felt like, set off the background. And yeah, anyway, it was just like a personal choice, but it's all, the color scheme is still from the sequin mix. So I'm using V25, 22, and 20 as my purples, R81, 83, 85 as my pinks, and B00, 02, and 04 as my blues. And I'm going to use those same colors. Anytime I use blue, it's that 3-color combination. Anytime I use pink, same 3-color combination. And then for the whites, I'm actually going to use the 0 marker, C0, and C1. The idea there is to just, like, sometimes your whites actually look bolder if there is some gray in them. Leaving them plain white tends to just look a lot more flat. And so when you have some shading going on everywhere else, having that flat color for the white areas is less compelling. So here I was adding the colorless blender first, and then I accidentally added it to the hair, which is going to be colored. I had just wanted to add it to the white part of the body, and that was just to make the C markers a little bit more ready to blend, since I do want a very, very light color there. And accidentally putting the 0 marker in the area where eventually I'm going to use the pinks, which are actually R markers, gives me a lot of bleeding. R markers can be some of the toughest for bleeding, so be careful and don't make that same mistake, or just skip using the 0 at all. When I colored in the rainbow, I kept my shadows super, super simple. I just made it darker towards where the clouds were and lighter in the center. I'm going to do a very, very simple shading with my unicorn as well. You could add a lot of beautiful detail to the hair of the unicorn and things like that, but with the small images, I usually try to keep it pretty simple. And I was really focused on like the color and the sparkle of this card. It's going to be a shaker card too, which usually the shaker adds so much interest that going in and the putting a lot of detail coloring isn't as necessary. You know, the viewer already really enjoys the shaker aspect of the card. So I want to pull in all 3 colors into the unicorn. So I'm going to make the hair pink, the horn purple, and the hooves and snout blue. In retrospect, I thought maybe I shouldn't have done the snout in a color. Maybe I should have just left that white, but I wanted to make sure there was enough of each color represented. And I knew that the unicorn would primarily go on the purple part of the card, so I made the purple the least prominent. So here I'm measuring up what my what size piece of acetate I'm going to need for my shaker. I created that colored background and then I cut it out with the Mandala die from Cat Scrappiness. All the supplies will be linked in the video description, so if I messed up any of the names, you can find them there. But I like that it creates this really obvious area for you to add your sentiment and your focal point, but still has enough going on that you can make a really simple shaker card. So I will be adding the shaker material behind all those like little open bits at the top and the bottom. And even though they're really intricate areas, my foam tape won't have to be like intricate. I'll just be able to make like a basic rectangle and still get it to shake very well. Here I'm adding adhesive to put my acetate down. Because I'm using an adhesive roller, those little areas around the edge are enough for foam tape and are enough for adhesive, but both my foam tape and my regular tape runner were a little bit wider than those border areas. So I had to trim down my foam tape. The foam tape takes so long to cut out, and I just felt like once you know how to do foam tape, it wasn't an interesting thing to see in the video. But basically I created a rectangle all around the card and then 2 smaller rectangles, one at the top and one at the bottom. However, I forgot to stamp my sentiment before I added the foam tape, which was super silly. So I had some trouble stamping it, and then I had to like re-stamp it, but my head was in the way, so I also just cut that part out for you. But I was able to get an okay impression. Unfortunately, putting the foam tape behind before I stamped the sentiment was definitely the wrong call. Try to remember not to do that. Stamp everything you want stamped first before adding your foam tape. So here I thought I should add some little details from the stamp set onto the card, and so I'm stamping some of the stars, but then the stars just dry and fade right into the purple background. I should have been obvious that they were going to do that. I should have used like a darker color of purple, but once they faded into the background, I realized that was a good place to use some additional sequins anyway. So this mandala frame die is actually a little bit narrower than the average card, and having the extra border on the side can look great. So if you want it, keep it. But if you wanted to make it a little bit smaller, I just trimmed like I think 1/4 of an inch off the sides to make an even border all the way around. So since this whole card was inspired by the magical unicorn sequin or sprinkles, that's what I'm going to add in the shaker. However, I did spray the background with some glitter spray, and I think that glitter and shine is excellent for unicorn type cards anyway. So I decided that I would add a little bit of a sparkly sequin and another sequin. Oh, I obviously didn't use the rainbow. I thought about it, but it just made the card seem really crowded. So I decided to skip it. So I pulled the pink solid confetti mix, and I thought this would be great because it would add a bit of sparkle to the sprinkle mix, the shaker parts of the card. And as you can see, I'm adding 2 separate piles of shaker material, and that is because I'm going to have I made the 2 small rectangles. If I had kept it one giant rectangle, I think this shaking would have been less interesting because you would have had to really shake it aggressively to get all the sequins to the top. So by making 2 areas, I think the shaking looks better. But I also realized that if I put a little of these in the shaker area, and then I could use some of them as embellishments on the outside of the card to sort of frame up the sentiment the way that I was hoping to use the stars. So I'm going to glue them where I had originally stamped stars, hoping that they would show. So now you can see the shaken action going on there. You can see it on both the top and the bottom, which I think looks good. I'm just shaking it around to make sure nothing's sticking where I don't want it. And then I'm going to pull in some of the sequins. What's cool about these pink sequins is you're probably going like, they look purple, Jess, is that they do reflect light. And so as you move them around in the light, they can look a little bit purple, a little bit pink, a little bit green. I think that makes them look a little bit more interesting. So that is it for my card today. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're interested in more crafting tutorials, be sure to subscribe to my channel. As mentioned before, I'll leave you links to all the products, and there's a coupon code for Cat Scrappiness. So if you want to pick up some of these new sequins or the re-inkers, go check them out. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.